Okay, so get this. Are you ready for this? We are going to unpack something huge, like something that's going to completely change how we use the internet.
Mm.
I'm talking about a major development in the world of AI that frankly has me a little shook,
It is pretty wild how fast things are changing. Like, remember when conversational AI was mostly just fun to play with?
right?
Yeah. Well, buckle up because it's officially entered the big leagues. Like, it's going head to head with some of the biggest names in tech.
Okay, so spill the tea. What is going on?
ChatGPT is now like a full-blown search engine. It's not just limited to its old training data anymore. It can access and process information from the real-time web.
Hold on, wait, so it's like actually searching the internet as we speak.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, can you give me an example of how that works, like in practice?
Okay, so let's say you want to know about Apple's stock performance.
Yep.
You can ask ChatGPT, and it will not only give you the current price, but also an interactive graph showing its recent performance, key financial data, and even links to relevant news articles. Oh, right there in your chat.
Whoa, an interactive graph. Okay, that's way beyond what I'm used to seeing in a search engine. So does it constantly search the web for every single thing I ask?
Not exactly. ChatGPT is actually pretty smart about when it needs to access the web, so it analyzes your question, and if it determines real-time info is needed, it'll pull it in. But you can also manually trigger a search if you want, like for the absolute latest data,
Oh,
just like you would with a traditional search engine.
so this is starting to feel like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, so it's
Right.
not just text-based results anymore. It can actually show me like interactive stuff.
Exactly. It's making the whole search experience way more dynamic and visually engaging. Like, imagine you're craving Italian food in San Francisco.
Okay.
You ask ChatGPT, and it doesn't just spit out a list of restaurants. It can generate an interactive map with all the top-rated spots pinpointed for you.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. This also makes me think about the other players in the AI game, though. What about Microsoft Copilot and Google Gemini? They already had real-time web access, right?
Yeah. This is where things get really interesting. This move by ChatGPT is a major escalation in what's essentially an AI search war. All these tech giants, Google, Microsoft, even Meta, they're all battling it out for dominance in this space. And it's a huge deal because whoever comes out on top is going to have a significant influence on how we access and understand information going forward.
Ooh, it's getting juicy. So how is ChatGPT's search actually working under the hood? Is it using some totally new technology?
It's a mix of things, actually. It's powered by a fine-tuned version of GPT-4, which is already known for its ability to process and generate human-like text. But what's really fascinating is that they're also using Microsoft's Bing search engine as part of the mix.
Wait, Bing? That's kind of ironic considering Microsoft's also developing its own AI search competitor with Copilot. It's like they're helping the enemy.
It is a pretty fascinating dynamic for sure. It just shows how complex the relationships are between these tech companies.
Yeah.
They're competitors, but they also rely on each other in some ways.
All this AI stuff is definitely cool, but it also seems incredibly expensive to run, right? How is OpenAI planning to finance all of this, especially for those of us who use ChatGPT for free? Are they going to start, like, plastering ads everywhere like Google does?
Well, that's a key difference, at least for now. There are no ads in ChatGPT's search results. It's a completely different approach, offering a cleaner and more focused experience.
Interesting.
How they'll manage the costs long term is a big question, though. AI-powered search is a costly game, and it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate that.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how this all plays out. This is a whole new era for search, and it feels like we're just at the very beginning of it. There are so many questions.
Absolutely. This is a rapidly evolving space, and it's tough to predict where things will go from here.
Yeah, it's a real game changer. And it's not just about convenience or finding information faster, right? It's
Yeah.
about how we process and understand information. Think about those interactive features we talked about.
Right, the graphs and the maps. Exactly. Instead of just reading a bunch of text, you can actually visualize the data, which can make it much easier to grasp, complex concepts or to see trends.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But it also makes me wonder if we're becoming too reliant on the algorithm to do the thinking for us.
Hmm.
Like, are we losing some of our critical thinking skills if we're just passively absorbing information presented in, like, a neat little package?
That's a great question, and it's one that a lot of people are thinking about right now. There's definitely a risk that we could become too dependent on AI to interpret information for us. That's why it's more important than ever to develop strong critical thinking skills. We need to be able to question what we're seeing, evaluate different sources, and form our own conclusions.
So how do we strike that balance? How do we embrace the power of AI search without losing our ability to think for ourselves?
I think it comes down to awareness. We need to be aware of the potential biases that can be baked into these algorithms, aware of the ways in which they can be used to manipulate our thinking. We need to approach AI search with a healthy dose of skepticism and remember that it's just a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
You mentioned bias. Can you give me an example of what that might look like in the context of AI search?
Sure. So let's say an AI model is trained on a data set that mostly includes articles from a particular political perspective, right?
Okay.
When you use that model to search for information on a political topic, the results you get might be skewed towards that perspective, even if other perspectives exist. It's like looking at the world through a tinted
Yep.
lens. You're only seeing a partial picture.
So it's like those filter bubbles we hear about on social media, but on a much larger scale.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to diversify our sources of information. Don't just rely on one search engine or one news outlet. Seek out different perspectives, even if they challenge your own beliefs.
This is heavy stuff. I'm starting to realize just how much responsibility comes with this new technology. It's not just about finding information quickly anymore. It's about being aware of the potential pitfalls and using these tools wisely.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head. It's a new era of information, and we need a new set of skills to navigate it effectively.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of the potential downsides of AI search,
Right.
but I'm curious about the potential benefits as well. Are there ways in which this technology could actually make us more informed or help us learn more effectively?
Absolutely. One of the most exciting areas is personalized learning. Imagine a search engine that understands your individual learning style and tailors the results to your specific needs.
Like it knows if I'm a visual learner or if I prefer to read long-form articles.
Exactly. It could even identify gaps in your knowledge and recommend resources to help you fill them.
That would be amazing. It's
Yeah.
like having a personal tutor built right into the search engine.
And think about the potential for research. AI search could help scientists analyze massive amounts of data, uncover hidden patterns, and make breakthroughs in all sorts of fields.
So it's not just about finding the closest pizza place or checking the weather. It could actually help us solve some of the world's biggest problems.
That's the hope. Of course, there are challenges to overcome, but the potential is there.
This has definitely been a deep dive, and I feel like I've learned so much, but I also feel like we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore.
I agree, and I think that's the most important takeaway from all of this. To stay curious, to keep asking questions, and to be open to new possibilities. This technology is evolving rapidly, and it's up to all of us to shape its future.
So we've talked about how ChatGPT is now a full-on search engine. We've talked about this throws it right into the ring with, all the other big players in AI. And we've talked about how all of this could actually change how we learn and understand things.
Yeah, it's a huge shift, and it's happening so fast.
It really feels like we're on the edge of something massive. Like we're standing at the beginning of like a whole new chapter of the internet.
I think that's a great way to put it. We're at a point where the lines between traditional search, conversational AI, and even, interactive media are starting to blur.
Yeah.
And that's going to create all sorts of new opportunities, but also some new challenges.
Like what kind of challenges?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is going to be ensuring that these powerful AI tools are used responsibly. We've touched on this before, but it's worth reiterating.
You're talking about things like bias and manipulation, right?
Exactly. As these AI systems get more sophisticated, they become more powerful tools for shaping public opinion, for influencing decisions, and even for spreading misinformation.
Right.
It's crucial that we're aware of these risks and that we develop, strategies for mitigating them.
So it's not just about being like a savvy user. It's about being an informed citizen.
Absolutely. We need to be critical thinkers. We need to be aware of our own biases, and we need to be willing to challenge the information we're presented with, even if it comes from a source that seems like authoritative or trustworthy.
I guess that's the thing, right? These AI systems can seem so incredibly intelligent, so knowledgeable, that it's easy to just, take what they say at face value.
It's a natural human tendency. We're wired to trust authority, to believe what we're told by, experts. But in the age of AI, we need to develop a new kind of skepticism. We need to remember that these systems are created by humans, and humans are fallible. They have biases, they make mistakes, and they can be manipulated.
So what's the takeaway here? What can our listeners do to make sure they're using these tools responsibly and not getting, caught in any traps?
First and foremost, stay informed. Learn as much as you can about how these AI systems work, what their limitations are, and how they can be used for both good and bad.
Any other tips?
Yeah. Be mindful of your sources. Just because something pops up in a ChatGPT search result doesn't mean it's accurate or unbiased, right?
Right.
Check multiple sources, consider the perspectives of those sources, and don't be afraid to dig deeper if something doesn't seem quite right.
So it sounds like the key is to not become complacent.
Right.
Just because we have these amazing AI tools at our fingertips doesn't mean we can switch off our brains.
That's exactly right. The future of search is here, and it's incredibly exciting. But it's up to all of us to make sure we're using these tools wisely and that we're not letting them use us.
This has been an incredible deep dive, and I think I speak for both of us when I say it's given us a lot to think about.
Definitely. The world of AI is changing rapidly, and it's going to continue to have a profound impact on our lives. Staying curious, asking questions, and engaging in thoughtful discussions like this one is more important than ever.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of AI search. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a topic that's shaping our world. Until then, stay curious.